What happens when you finally distance yourself from your wife? What I'm about to tell you about creating distance from your wife might sound like manipulation, like a cold psychological tactic. But if you understand the deeper mechanism at work, you'll realize this isn't about control, punishment, or games. It's about resetting a dynamic that's been quietly poisoning your relationship for years. There's a biological and psychological reality to how women respond to emotional distance when a man who's been overly available finally steps back, a predictable sequence of emotional and biochemical phases unfolds. Understanding this process is the difference between reawakening attraction and permanently destroying respect. Why distancing works and why most men fail at it. In long-term relationships, many men fall into a pattern of chronic availability, constantly present, constantly agreeable, constantly trying to please. While society praises this as being a good husband, biologically it backfires. Here's why. When something is always available, the human brain stops valuing it. This is known in psychology as the habituation effect. The more consistent the stimulus, the less emotional response it provokes. In relationships, this means constant attention leads to emotional numbness, not connection. When a man begins to distance, subtly and calmly, it triggers the reward system in a woman's brain to recalibrate. The absence creates tension, and that tension revives curiosity, reflection, and even desire. But the process isn't instant. It unfolds through distinct phases. Reward recalibration. Emotional numbness. Habituation effect. Chronic availability. The 5 phases of a woman missing you. Phase 1. Anger. This is where almost every man fails. When your wife first senses your emotional withdrawal, her reaction isn't sadness, it's anger. She feels entitled to your attention, so when it's withdrawn, her ego panics. Her internal dialogue goes, "How dare he treat me like this?" If your marriage has stability, she'll stew privately. But if the relationship is already fragile, you'll see explosive reactions, accusations, threats of divorce, emotional outbursts, or even public displays of resentment. This anger isn't a sign that distancing failed. It's the first stage of recalibration. When you cave at this stage, apologizing, chasing, or explaining, you reinforce that her emotions control you. You confirm her subconscious suspicion that you lack backbone, and respect dies. If you stand firm, calmly, without hostility, her anger begins to lose its power. She starts to question herself instead of questioning you. That's when reflection begins. Phase 2. Transition. After the emotional storm, silence. This phase can last weeks. She's no longer angry, but she's processing, evaluating, weighing her options. This is where she begins to miss your presence, to feel your absence, but pride keeps her from reaching out. It's a quiet, psychological battle between ego and longing. Your task: do nothing. Stay centered. Do not chase. The power of distance works only if it's sustained through uncertainty. Phase 3. Reproach, the testing stage. She begins to test the waters. It starts small. A text about something irrelevant, a meme, a casual question about logistics. These aren't genuine reconciliation attempts, they're probes. She's testing to see whether your emotional state has changed, whether you'll rush back the moment she opens the door. Crack. Most men fail here. They respond with excitement, instantly returning to old patterns of overavailability. The mystery dies again. Your response should be warm but measured, pleasant, not eager, friendly, not familiar. Let her feel your composure, not your need. The key is to maintain composure. Eagerness kills the mystery and returns the dynamic to the old, unhealthy pattern. Phase 4. Provocation. Once she realizes you're not immediately falling back into old habits, she escalates. This is where she'll try positive and negative provocations, from flirting to jealousy plays to subtle emotional manipulation. She might suddenly become extra affectionate, or mention another man to test your composure. Every action is a measurement of whether you've truly changed or are merely pretending. The correct response: emotional neutrality. Not coldness, not rejection, just calm self-possession. When she sees she can no longer manipulate your emotional state, a deeper respect begins to form. Positive provocation. Sudden, intense affection or attention. Negative provocation. Jealousy plays or emotional manipulation. Phase 5. Genuine pursuit. Only after passing through the previous stages does authentic longing emerge. This is when she begins to miss you for real, not out of ego, but emotional recognition. She rediscovers the man she once admired. Strong, grounded, and independent. At this point, you don't need to do anything dramatic. You've rebalanced the polarity. The power dynamic resets naturally because she's now choosing to reconnect, not out of fear of loss, but out of renewed attraction and respect. The two female archetypes: know who you're dealing with. Not all women respond to distance the same way. Understanding which type of woman you're with determines whether this strategy will heal or destroy your relationship. 1. The builder, emotionally stable type. Values loyalty, consistency, and long-term partnership. When you create distance, she reflects, adjusts, and seeks reconnection. 2. The seeker validation-driven type. Thrives on novelty, attention, and external validation. Distance won't make her miss you. It'll make her seek a new source of attention. Modern culture, especially social media, has produced many seekers, women addicted to dopamine spikes from external admiration. For them, emotional depth feels boring. If you try to create distance with such a woman, she won't pursue you. She'll replace you. That's not failure. It's revelation. Distance exposes whether your relationship is rooted in depth or dependence. How to apply distance without destroying connection. Strategic distancing is an art, not a disappearance act. It's not about coldness, it's about quiet independence. You don't announce it. You don't make speeches about needing space. You simply become less available, less predictable, less reactive. Delay responses. Instead of instantly replying, make plans without always consulting her. Reinvest in yourself, in your career, hobbies, and friendships. Stop fixing conflicts. Stop trying to fix every mood or conflict immediately. The dosage matters. Too little distance does nothing. Too much kills the relationship. The goal is to restore polarity, not create emotional starvation. The biological mechanism behind attraction reset. When a man becomes scarce, the female brain's dopamine system re-engages. Emotional distance creates mild uncertainty, which triggers pursuit behavior. This isn't manipulation. It's evolutionary psychology. Humans are drawn to what's slightly uncertain but emotionally rewarding. Constant availability removes that uncertainty, killing attraction. Strategic distance reintroduces mystery, reminding her subconscious mind that your presence is a privilege, not a guarantee. Activated. Halfway. Deactivated. Halfway. Dopamine downregulation. Constant availability. Strategic distance. Mild uncertainty.